I cheated on my husband of 13 years. Trying to work things out. Story 1. I cheated on my husband not once, but twice. Here's the story. We have been married for 13 years and have 2 kids. We are both 34. Somewhere along the way, things got stale, as they do after you have kids, get comfortable in your roles with each other, etc. In this staleness, my husband became married to his work. He is very good at what he does, and making money. I know at first, he was making a better life for me and my kids, but at one point, it became about his success and how far he could go. I have always appreciated his work ethic and desire to provide for us, and he was extremely good at it. He began pushing us away and had even gone as far as to say he wasn't sure if he was in love with me, but just comfortable with our relationship. I didn't read too much into that at first because I knew that this must be something all long-term couples go through. But it began to weigh on me. I threw myself at him, I bought lingerie, I made little surprises through the day for him, I texted love notes, blah blah blah. I begged for counseling, but he refused time and again. And then I realized he was married to his job. He was out of town half the time, and when he was home, he was firmly planted on the couch, playing video games or surfing Reddit. He gets a job offer that will move us away. I asked him not to take it. The money wasn't much more and would have uprooted our family. He decided to take it, put our house on the market and travel back home on the weekends. Shortly after he took the job was the first time I cheated on him. I had been in contact with an ex-boyfriend from high school. I had no sexual attraction to him, it was truly just friendship. He was visiting my town, and I agreed to go see a show with him. From the moment we saw each other again, sexual tension was high. We got drunk, I kissed him and ended up sleeping with him that night. I knew it was wrong. I had no intention of it happening and the guilt was crushing. At the same time, it was exhilarating to be desired again. We continued to chat on FB, Skype, talk on the phone occasionally. I eventually began pushing him away and ignoring his sexual talk. And then, it was just over. We still would chat occasionally on FB, but it was always short and no hints of sex. I never intended to tell my husband. The next time it happened, a friend of a friend expressed interest in me. Our mutual friend said, "Stay away, she's married." Well, he didn't. We became Facebook friends, and eventually I slept with him, too. This went on for about 2 months. He ended it because he wanted to start dating someone who was actually available. I didn't want it to end. I was so caught up in the bubble of being desired and fulfilled. We stayed friends, and still spent a good deal of time together, though not sexually. My husband decided to check my internet history because he was suspicious of our friendship. He found evidence, confronted me. I denied it at first, but I came clean about him. I didn't give all the details, and we both went through the harrowing experience of him prying it all out of me. He decides to take me to a polygraph exam. I failed it and we went through another round of him prying details out of me about the other affair. Now it's all out in the open. We have been going through counseling, and things are honestly better all the time. He is a more attentive father and husband, and I am being transparent and honest with him about everything. I let him check my phone records, texts, internet history. He has access to all my emails. I don't complain about this at all, I understand it and am willing to be an open book. I also signed a post-nup that takes my name off the house and everything else we own. I know that probably wasn't a smart move, but I thought it would be a huge step in gaining his trust back. This has all happened over the past 7 months. Last week, he asked me to submit to another polygraph, out of the blue. I am resistant to taking it because I feel like it's not constructive, it doesn't move us forward. He feels like there's something else I'm not telling him because he had to drag everything else out of me. I feel like if I take it, it's just going to hamper his healing, and keep him from learning to trust again. I am terrified of failing it, though I will be telling the truth. I know that we will never be the same again. I make no excuses for my choices. They were wrong and I feel horrible. We are both mourning the death of our relationship and the death of what our relationship could have been. I truly believe that we love each other and want to be together and can have a new future. I don't know if we can do that if he doesn't take a leap of faith. TLDR, I cheated on my husband with 2 men because I was selfishly feeling neglected, and we are trying to find a way to help him trust me again. How can I help him heal? How can I deal with the soul-crushing guilt? Story 2. I got revenge on my ex-girlfriend for cheating on me. This happened years ago when I was around 18 and dating a girl I had gone to high school with. We had been together for about a year, and towards the last month of our relationship things started to die out. We wouldn't talk as much and she never had time for me. She claimed she was always working at her family's grocery store. Her family had their own business for years. It was a small grocery store that at one point while I was in between jobs I even worked at for a short time. Her family were lovely, and me and her father got along great and still chat every now and then because I was always working or studying, didn't party, and had set goals for myself early in life which her father thought was awesome. So anyway, back to our relationship. Because we both worked, we only had the weekends free, so usually we would do our best to spend time with each other, but she had grown distant and I hadn't thought anything of it. But one weekend I receive a call from a friend of mine who tells me she had seen my girlfriend out with another guy. I didn't want to believe it, I was devastated. But I thought before I throw any accusations I would get my own proof first. It took me almost 3 weeks to convince her to spend time with me. When she agreed and came over for a night after work, I had planned on confronting her to find out for myself. She arrived shortly after dark and told me she was going to have a shower. She went into the bathroom but had left her phone with her bag and keys on the table. So I did what anyone who has been told they were being cheated on would do. I went through to see for myself. And what do you know? She was cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend, who was a dirtbag. You see, he was one of the kids at school that messed around, never came to school. Was out smoking and drinking instead. I never really interacted with him outside of being asked for a lighter for a cigarette. But he was also selling drugs at school. I've always thought people who sell drugs to kids are dirtbags. Not cool at all, bro. I found out she had been going to see him on the weekends to do drugs and drink as well as sleeping with him. There were messages talking about how I was too nice or focused on work too much. How she's only with me because her family loves me and I can handle that if you tell me that, not cheat on me because of it. I would rather leave a relationship freely. This hit me really hard and messed with my perception of women afterwards. I had never been cheated on before and didn't know how to handle the feeling. But I wasn't going to let her do me like that. Here comes the sweet revenge. You see, in those messages they had been talking about needing money for alcohol or drugs and not having enough. This conversation led to him convincing her to steal it from her family business. She had been getting away with almost $800 or so every weekend, as well as stealing items from their shop. So I thought fast, screenshot all the messages, and sent them to her father from her phone. I told him it was me, and that this is what I had found in his daughter's phone. Shortly after she had finished up in the shower, I told her we were finished and I knew everything. I told her to leave and I had a surprise for her when she got home, to which she was confused about. She left after that and I received a call from her dad, who was apologized to me for his daughter's actions and sounded almost as devastated as I was. He told me he had already called the police and they were waiting for her to get back home, as well as collecting her ex-boyfriend as an accomplice. I was shocked but thankful that I had cut dead weight from my life in a just fashion, considering she cheated on me. She got to spend the night in a cell with her ex and was ordered to pay back the amount by a judge and given community service. He, on the other, had happened to have previous warrants out and I don't know what happened to him after. I wiped my hands clean of her and moved forward. But man, that felt so much better that she at least got some punishment as a result. Smiley face.